Reading from the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta, Chapter 4, Volume 1, Text 4. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Śrī Nārada uvāca. dṛṣṭaś cirāt kṛṣṇa-kṛpā-bharasya pātraṁ bhavān me sa-phalaḥ śramo bhūt. ā-bālyato yasya hi Krishna-bhaktir jātā viśuddhā kuto yasīt. Śrī Nārada said, "Now after a very long time, I am able to see your lordship. Now the trouble I took to come here has borne its fruits. You are the object of the great mercy of Lord Krishna. Since early childhood, you have possessed devotion for Lord Krishna so pure, it cannot be seen in any other person. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Taksur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadāpayam Dadati Sapadantikam Pancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So greetings from Govardhan. I've always explained to you that Vrindavan is an energy that's moving towards the service of what's going on there? It's an energy that's moving towards the service of Krishna. And if you move intensely towards the service of Krishna, it's like having a favorable wind on your back. But if you stop with false egotistical activities, then that wind is opposing your desires, and all pain is a frustration of attachments. So I just had this sense that I have to run quickly towards Krishna here to be peaceful. And running quickly towards Krishna here, to me now, it's going around Govardhan Hill every day, half. One side, and it's perfect here because I'm in the middle. One side, Govinda Kund, Jatipur, the other side, Radha Kund, Kusum, Sarovara. And a lot of benefits from that. Of course, we don't do things for the result. We do things for the devotion and activity itself. Vaidhi Bhakti is your faith is in the rule. When I complete the parikram, I make my benefit. But Ragmarg is, the benefit is the activity itself and the consciousness which you do it. So, and it was interesting because we fasted on Ekadasi. So it means you go around and then you don't eat the whole day. And then the break fast is after the parikram the next day. But it's amazing. the mercy of Giriraj. You didn't even feel any hunger or any weakness. You're also shaking your head.
Because I was fasting yesterday.
You also fasted.
Yeah.
Prabhu here also fasted. You don't. Anyway, it's just a wonderful experience, which I just need. Because when you make a commitment, I'm going to stay in Vrindavan, then Krishna wants to see is if you're doing it for him or you're doing it for yourself. If you're doing activities for yourself, better be someplace else, not the land of Śrī Nārada. So there are a lot of challenges here, physical, mental, etc. Somehow or other, I think just Krishna's, and you know me, I'm the famous I hate country walks guy. So it's not like for me, oh, pleasant. People are pleasant walk around the hill. I'm just, so, but so that's the activity here. It's very special because Kartik is not till the end of the month. Usually Kartik begins when I come. So we do have some time. Now, if you remember this story, the last chapter was about devotion in Vaikuntha. And then Lord Shiva said, why only Vaikuntha? That people on this earth that live selflessly and for God, it's not different than Vaikuntha, even if they have a material body. And it's a verse, yasya dasye, karmana manasya gara, Nicholas tu avaptatu, jivan mukta uchite. It's called jivan mukta. You're embodied, but you're liberated. If karmana manasya gara, your work, your body and your words are dedicated to Krishna. And actually, that's my concern here, because ruchi comes from nishta. When you're fixed, you get taste. And I like my own analogies on the matter. Krishna says, Rasaham apso kontiya, I'm the pure taste of water. What's the pure taste of water? The pure taste of water is water, which is just water. When it becomes mixed, the taste is not, here in India, you've got sweet water. Villages don't have like buy bottled water and Perrier and Mountain View and Poland Spring and whatever. So getting sweet water is like gold here. And if it's not, then you suffer. You suffer in taste. You also suffer in digestion. When I first came to Vrindavan, there was no bottled water. When my parents came to Vrindavan, they had to bring bottled water from Delhi. There was no bottled water. There was no water purifying machines. We had to find the well by the Goshala or something. So you have to be nishta, fixed, for taste. So there are people that are fixed, and more than taste, they attract Krishna's mercy by their pure devotion. They attract the energy of Krishna, which enters into their consciousness, so their consciousness becomes one, tatatmaka. Like iron rod and fire becomes fire, our consciousness becomes imbued with Krishna's internal potency, which awakens fully our eternal relationship with Krishna. It's the samvit ladini shakti. Samvit, cognitive potency, ladini, pleasure potency. Cognitive potency awakens your relationship with Krishna. Ladini Shakti, that imbues you with that devotion and love in that relationship. So he was talking about that, and Parvati, I don't know if she objected, but she said, well, if you really make it, I don't know if it's a feminist thing, Parvati supporting Lakshmi. but she started, come on, Lakshmi. You want to talk about the best devotees, then talk about Lakshmi. She's on the Lord Krishna's chest, and she's so faith and chaste, and she's Shakti. So Shakti, the energy of Krishna, is love. Radha is the Purna Shakti, the full Shakti of Krishna, because Shakti comes from a source to please the source. So really, Shakti, the essence of Shakti is love. Yes, and so Lakshmi is an expansion of Śrī Nārada. So she is love. And then when Narada hears this, he's immediately, because he's eager, he has that objective, that faith that drives him towards the goal. Trust and sublimity. And he hears from great devotees that this is where sublimity lies in the hearts of these devotees. You should go. You should go and find these devotees. And he's very, very eager. Just so we're eager. If I'm here and they say, oh, next door, someone's here. One of my godbrothers is here. Next door, maybe Niranjan Swami is here, or Shivaram Swami is visiting. I can name many. I must see them. That's Sadhu Sanga, Sarva Shastra Hoy, Sadhu Sanga, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. It's that Sanga. Because if you want bhakti, you have to go to one who has it, and it's the heart of a devotee. And that's what Krishna himself showed when he came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was searching for that Sangha. First with Ishvara Puri, then with Ramananda Roy. And what to speak of Raghunath Das Goswami, how he wanted the Sangha of Nityananda, and then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is a devotee. You want to advance, you have to get Sangha. Because when there's relationship, and one of the relations, Guyana Yachi Krichati, you hear and you inquire, and it opens up a conduit, and you can experience the other person's heart. And that's how we experience bhakti. That's how we experience bhakti. So Narada is immediately ready to go there, but then Krishna says, don't you know that now Krishna, Narayan is taking birth in Dwarka, and Lakshmi is Rukmini, and then he whispers his ear. But if you really want the topmost devotee, then see Bṛhad. He has more devotion than your father, Lord Brahma. He's better than me, Garuda. Go to see him. And have you forgotten this? It says in the Shastra that the pure devotee, that Krishna can't enjoy transcendental bliss without the pure devotee. Haven't you read the Bhagavatam and seen and heard about this young boy, Bṛhad, was asked, his father, Lord Nrsimhadev, Vishnu, was ready to give him any benediction that he wanted. Wanted to give him any benediction he wanted, and he just prayed for pure service. I don't want anything else. Nadanam, Najanam, Nasundarim, Kavitam, Va, Jagadisha Kamaye, Mama Janmani, Ishvari, Bhavatat Bhakti, Mama Janmani, I don't even care to take birth again. And I've quoted these verses because they're very prominent, and it's one of some of the few verses I know, maybe. Narayana Parasarve, Nakutas Janya Bibhyati, Swaga Pavarga, Narakeshu. Whether it's Swaga, Pavarga, hell, I don't care. I don't care. I just don't care. I just want service. So Prahlad, he said, so go to Sutaloka and go see Prahlad. And somehow or other on that level, your desire brings you to the place mystically in a moment. Just your desire, you don't have to travel. Traveling doesn't get you to God. Pantastu koti satavatsara sampagamyo vayora tapi manaso munipungavanam. It doesn't get you to God. Millions and millions a year by the speed of the mind. It's another dimension. And the dimension is crossed by faith. When you want it, you have it. That's what bhakti is. You want it, you have it. Krishna is controlling everything. You want it, you have it. And he goes there, and Prahlad is sitting in a secluded place. His mind is like wrapped in meditation. But he sees Narada at a distance, and he stands up out of respect. He stands up. After all, Narada is practically his Vartman Padarshika guru, because he heard the Bhagavatam in the womb of his mother. And when he approached, then Prahlad offered respects to him and seats him on a throne and begins to worship him. And Narada just embraces Prahlad and showers him with tears of joy, embracing him again and again. And again, somehow or other, maybe we need to hear it again and again. It's kind of the same themes are coming up. It's almost a little challenging sometimes to make the class interesting, because it's the same point. It's the humility of a devotee, the enthusiasm of the devotee. But even Lord Chaitanya heard about Prahlad because he wanted to hear about his determination, because you need determination in bhakti. So even him, he heard about Prahlad. Utsahan, Nishchar, the favorable bhakti is this enthusiasm. And then Narada begins to glorify Prahlad, and that's where we're up to. He's happy to see him. And he says that you're the object of mercy, because that's what he's looking for. And he gives the reason. Since childhood, you had possessed this devotion so pure, it cannot be seen in any other person. Now, I'm not sure why Prahlad is better than Lakshmi or Lord Shiva, Vaishnavam, Yata, Shambhu. There's definitely a gradation here, but I'm not sure if it's one to another or there's just different kind of levels. There's different kind of levels where, because Prahlad is not so much in the mood of service as he is in the mood of appreciation, where the demigods are dasiras, they're servants in the Lord's government. But there's something just so beautiful of the Vaishnava in this world overcoming the obstacles to serve Krishna, that it gives such a demonstration of their devotion, that it's just somehow so attractive and so beautiful. So Narada is naturally attracted. And in terms of, Vaishnavas and things, there's rasa and tattva. Tattva is the absolute science, and rasa is the feeling. And a lot of times we don't just go by the tattva, we go by the feelings. I gave the example once, on Prabhupada's disappearance day, maybe a year after he left, all the assembled Vaishnavas came, and I was walking into the assembly, and I heard, I don't know which, a very senior Vaishnava said that if Rupa Goswami, and no, stop just wiggling there. just distracting. Okay. If Rupa Goswami and Haridas Thakur and Prabhupada were in the same room, and Lord Chaitanya came in, who would he go to first? A person said, I say Prabhupada, because who had more attachment to the holy name than the person who spread it all around the world? So it's not necessarily like an analysis of their devotion and things. It's just the rasa of putting Prabhupada rightly in the category of the great spiritual luminaries. So I'm not sure this is exactly either by Sanatana Goswami or by Narada Muni an exact here that, there's a progression from, Lord Shiva to the residents of Vaikuntha to Lakshmi to Prahlad. They all seem to be pure devotees. And somehow the verses are quoting to him as a bhakta, almost as a bhakta is like a special category of people who practice in this world. But anyway, let's hear what he says. Yaya swapitra vihatas sahasram upadrabadharuna vigna rupa jitas tvaya yasya tavanubhavat sarve bhavān hidayatya. When your own father tried to torture and kill you in 1,000 ways, you thwarted all his attempts. By your influence, all the demons have now become devotees. So it's so nice how Sanatana Goswami is just summarizing the devotees. And it's not telling the whole story with Hiranyakashipu, but it's reminding us he was tortured and killed in 1,000 ways to try to give up devotion, but had the conception, apratiyata, unbroken devotion, that there's no greater pain than giving up devotion, and there's nothing greater than it. So you can't stop it. That's how great devotion is, and how great someone who has it. And that's Prahlad. And not only that, he converted all the children of the demons. It's a great feat. You can imagine the samskaras of these people. These samskaras of these people. And then he just preached to them, and I quoted before, Kamara acharet pragyo dharman bhagavataniha dulabam manasanjanma tarapyad ruvam artada. So, and he's actually summarized, this is why the Bṛhad-bhāgavatāmṛta is a summary of the Bhagavatam, because you can just see this whole story, which took the 7th canto, is just covered in just a few verses because there was no time. But Mother Uttara wanted to hear from Arch Cricket a summary of what he just heard. So here's the summary. These are all the qualities. Krishna Vishtoya Smita Mevam Mato Nityam Gayam Kam Payaman Nityam Gayam Kam Pamano Rudamscha Lokan Sarvan Udaram Samshritabhyo Vishnur Bhaktim Harshayam Asatanvam. Wrapped in thoughts of Lord Krishna, you appear like a madman, singing, dancing, trembling, and crying. You rescue everyone from the cycle of repeated birth and death. You give them pure devotional service for Lord Krishna. In this way, you fill them with transcendental bliss. So it's also described in the Bhagavatam that he really had ecstatic symptoms. And it's not only that he was tasting it, but those in his proximity also felt it. He could actually give it. So that's the greatness of a devotee, that he's tasting devotion. And it, just like it's described that by Narottam Das Thakur, I think, Ebaro Karuna Koro, that by bathing in the Ganga many, many times, one becomes purified. But by seeing a devotee once, one can become purified, not even touching. Because seeing a devotee is seeing his devotion, because the body represents the mind. And you can see that mind, you can feel that. If you don't cover yourself by ignorance, and if you have humility and you're seeking God and you open your heart, then you'll actually feel God. Otherwise, ignorance will prevent you from having that experience. Naham prakashya sarvasya yoga maya. I am not manifest to the foolish and unintelligent, it says in Bhagavad Gita. So our foolishness, our ignorance, our desires, they cover us from God. But those who somehow or other develop some faith or appreciation, usually maybe by hearing the holy name of Krishna in an offenseless way, like I keep on remembering the Harinam at Washington Square Park, where people come and some people just, they're ready to hear. They're ready to hear. And then when the holy name is there in an innocent way, it touches their hearts. And that's called Brahmanda Brahmate Konya Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Pasadi Bhai Bhakti Lata Beach. The seed, the idea, the conception, the experience of devotion enters into their hearts. It's a dynamic moment in their evolution. Because Brahmanda Brahmate, it means so many universes. My God, how many universes have we traversed? You know, we don't have that perspective. We think this particular ego and identity is all in all. But how many universes have we traversed? How many bodies have we traversed? How many species? We've been in 8,400,000 species of life. And what to speak, how many human forms of life and how many genders? How many genders? 47 different genders. How many genders? How many? And then that moment whereby our failure in the material world to find happiness, we begin to seek someone or some body of knowledge that can actually give us that. And in that humility, the heart opens up enough to get that idea and conception that this is good. So he's giving that to people. Kṛṣṇa vibhuya tire mahate swanke kritva lalito matvivadya Rameshadam kurvato pistavokam padmam chanadritya samantya samanito ya. Lord Krishna appeared on the shore of the great ocean, placed you on his lap, and caressed you as a mother. Although Brahma, Shiva, and all the demigods were reciting many prayers and all the goddess of fortune is worshiping, he ignored them all. So now he's trying to, Narada is reaffirming, because Lord Shiva whispered in his ear and said, you know, go to Prahlad, he's better than me and better than this and that. And then he quotes verses, how Prahlad is the best devotee. Now he's going to give an example. I'm here at the right place, because when Lord Nrsingadev came, we were so fearful. We were all chanting prayers, but he ignored us. Due to your heart, your simplicity, how great is Prahlad. Vitrastena Brahmana Partito Ya Srimat Padamboja Mulena Patya Tishtan Utapyo Tamange Karabhyam Tridvagishu Śrī Nārada Lida, excuse my Sanskrit. Although frightened, Brahma offered prayers from far away. You approached the Lord and fell down before his splendid lotus feet. Lord Nrsimha then picked you up, placed his lotus hand on your head, and licked your body. My father stood in fear. There's no fear. Fear is part of devotion. If there's reverence, there's fear. Right? I may make a mistake when you're dealing with Aishvarya. So I guess this gradation, they're saying he's more intimate. He had no fear. He had no fear. It's not that we're denigrating reverential love, but part of that love is actually fear. But it's not duality, it's devotion. Because the fear is how great that person is. And out of love, I don't want to offend him. It's part of love. But it's not as intimate as Bṛhad. Yes, chitra graha chaturi chayai utshridyamanam harina param padam pramadi sampartyam upeksha kevalam viśuddhā nija janma janmasa. With great eloquence and very wonderful persistence, Brahma and the other demigods repeatedly prayed for liberation and entranced in the transcendental realm. When Lord Hari offered that liberation to you as a gift, you ignored his offer and prayed only for pure devotional service, birth after birth. So real bhakti is anya bilashita shunya jnana karma jnanavritam. It's not covered by karma, or it doesn't mean you can't have karma. And the example is given that Lord Chaitanya Lord Chaitanya was fearful. Lord Chaitanya, when his father died, Devarsha Bhutapta Ninam Pritrinam, the king, he didn't have to perform rituals. He just really had to chant Hare Krishna. But if he didn't go to Gaya, because it was a social custom to perform the pinda or the oblations, he would have come under criticism. And that criticism would also come to devotional service. So he performed it, but he wasn't covered by it. And jnana karma and the desire for liberation. Bhakti it's not about being peaceful, because Narada Muni was in the Himalayas and he didn't get Saksha Darshan again because he had a material taint. And what was that material taint? The material taint was he was attached to goodness. Sometimes we want liberation. We're in so much pain. We're in so much suffering. It's okay, right? But it's for us. It's not for God. So it's here, Bṛhad was just for God. I don't care about suffering. Mama Janmani, Janma Ishvari. I don't care about anything. Swaga, Pavaga, Nar. I don't care, hell, whatever it is. I just want to please you, the gopis who were willing to go to hell because Krishna had a headache and Narada asked for dust from the lotus feet. And no one would give it because that was such an offense. If you can turn on the lights now. It was such an offense, right? you go to the lotus feet of a superior, you don't put, that shows parasevana. There are 9 processes of devotional service. One is parasevana, serving the feet. It means humble service. Because the feet is the lowest part of the body, so if you approach the feet, you're making a statement that this is so exalted, that the lowest part is above me. It's an expression of humility. But if you put the lowest part of your body on someone superior, culturally, it's such an offense. So Narada is trying to get dust to cure Krishna's headache. No one would give, but the gopis were saying, Narada said, well, you go to hell. I don't care. That's love. Ashlishyava padaratam panastumam madarshanam mamahatam karotuva. You may make me brokenhearted by not being before me. You may crush me by your embrace. What we're talking here about is love. Just like tomorrow I'll be in Vrindavan at 8 o'clock in the morning. 3, 4 people that I read with will come. And we're doing the 2nd chapter of the Madhya Lila, the Lord's ecstatic transformations. Very, very high verses. Very high verses. I'm not even sure how I can even explain them. But the point I can explain is what they're showing is that the highest emotion, the highest absorption in the object of love is a disappointed lover. And that's Radha's mood of highest devotion, is disappointed lover. And they give these verses that express that. But they can't give up the object of their love. I remember being in the garden in Dallas with Prabhupada, and he was reading from Krishna book, how the gopis were criticizing Krishna. And Prabhupada was laughing. They can't give him up. So here, you only prayed for pure devotional service. It wasn't about you. That's real love. If we actually believe that the highest conception, the highest consciousness is love, and the highest love is God, and therefore that's what the spiritual world represents, its manifestation will be circumstances that challenge that love. Yasva Prabhu Pritam Apeksha Paitrikam Rajam Sayam Śrī Nārada Samstutau Samprartitashesha Chanodriti Chaya Swikritya Tadhyana Parotivartate. In order to please your Lord, and because in your prayers to Lord Nrsimha you prayed for the deliverance of all living entities, you accepted from him the kingdom of your Father. That is why you remain here wrapped in meditation on your Lord. Yeah, like Prahlad said, I forgot those verses, but I used to remember them, where I don't care for anything. I just care for the suffering of all the living entities. I forgot the very beautiful verses. So he says here, you're still in the earthly, realm, in the universe, Sutaloka. And because you prayed for the deliverance of living entities, you're still here, and that's why you're here. But while you're here, you are wrapped in meditation. How is he here? He's dhyana, para, atra varta. You remain here, para, dhyana, tat, dhyana, para. Wrapped in meditation. one time, as you were going to the Nisringa forest to see the lotus feet of Lord Narayan, who wears yellow garments, you accidentally met him on the path. He challenged you to a fight, and when he was finally pleased by your strength in battle, he declared, I am always defeated by you. And somehow it's a story from the Vamana Purana, which I'm not familiar with. But that concept of God's supremacy being controlled by the devotee shows the supremacy of God's personality. Because a person who is exalted is not selfish. He's focused on others. And when you're focused on others, their desires rule you. So God cannot be the supreme personality of Godhead unless the desires of others rule him. If they're pure. So a person really has bhava, really has pātraṁ, then Śrī Krishna-katha. That Krishna is attracted by that. Otherwise, he would be impersonal. People who are not controlled by love, can't reciprocate with love, are not affected by love, are impersonal, and they're not exalted. So here he says, I am always defeated by you. The power of your love. So Sri Parikshit uvāca, as he spoke these words, Narada became plunged in the nectar ocean of pure devotional service for Lord Hari. Narada, the confidential servant of the Lord, danced and called out, we have defeated him. And what is his ecstasy? Our love. Jātā mam prapadyante tam sataiva. As one surrenders unto me, I reward them accordingly. So okay, we'll just finish the few verses of this section. Narada said, O best of the Vaishnavas, the Supreme Personality of Godhead was defeated by you. What more need do I say? It was because of your mercy that Lord Mukunda was defeated by your grandson Bali, the king of the demons, and became a guard standing at Bali's gate. From now on, I shall always stay here. Your power has enabled me to counteract the curses of Daksha and many others. So he was cursed by Daksha that he couldn't stay. But now he's saying, by your power, that curse is, because I'm going to stay here now. I don't stay in any place. I was cursed by Daksha. When I converted his sons, the Haryashvas. He converted all his sons, and Daksha was furious, and he cursed him. You can't stay in any place for more than 3 days. He says, now I'm going to stay. By the power, by your power. Parikshit uvāca, Parikshit said, unable to hear himself praise, Prahlad lowered his head in embarrassment. He bowed down before Narada and slowly and respectfully said, O my Lord, O my spiritual master, please consider how it was that in my childhood I learned about devotional service. Anyway, he's going to counteract his. So are there any Jumunajaya?
Sorry, oops, there's my camera. Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for class. Yeah, there are two things in particular kind of right there at the end. One is when you mentioned those prayers of Prahlad, I love those so much. I I keep a copy of one of the prayers that translated by Ravindra Shroop in my purse all the time. That may the entire universe be blessed. There's such beautiful prayers. So I love that you brought those up. Excuse me, Raj?
Read one of the prayers.
Yeah, so may the entire universe be blessed with peace and good hope. May everyone driven by envy and enmity become pacified and reconciled. May all living beings develop abiding concern for the welfare of others. May our own hearts and minds be filled with purity and serenity. May all these blessings flow naturally from the supreme benediction. May our attention become spontaneously absorbed in the rapture of pure love onto the transcendental Lord.
Beautiful.
So nice.
Great.
And thank you, Raj. And I love the point, and you said it before, but how Krishna can't be the supreme personality of Godhead unless he's defeated by the love of his devotees. Otherwise, he's impersonal. So with that.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Raj.
Hey, Gail, you have anything?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Well, this is just one of those days where say the same thing, but in a slightly different way that makes it sink in deeper. Like when you were saying that the humility of approaching a person's feet, if you're putting the lowest part of a person's body above you, it illustrates or exemplifies their appreciation of how great that person must be if their lowest part is even greater than who you are. Yeah,
Thank you, Gail.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you.
Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna, Gurudev.
Haribo.
I wanted to say that I have a question about the highest emotion in the subject of love is disappointed lover. Can you please say a little more about that?
Well, if we look at the material world's perverted reflection of the spiritual world, so what is the highest absorption in any person is when someone loves someone and the relationship is broken off, you become completely consumed by it. Mm-hmm. So the highest sentiments of Radha is when she has those feelings and contention with Krishna. She's just completely absorbed in him. And she has these very deep expressions, like almost angry and disappointed. Anyway, that's what I got from Ramananda Samvad. I read that. But it makes sense to me that that's our experience here. We break up a relationship and we're just completely absorbed in it.
Thank you.
But there, it's love. It's not selfishness. Okay, thank you, Jayasirati. Anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Tota Gopinath here. So glad to be in class. I'm glad to hear you going around.
Yeah, it's new for me.
Yeah, it's great.
I'm beginning to realize why you like it so much. Okay, anybody else?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Narmasak is here.
Haribo, you're in Tehran? You're in the apartment near your village?
No, I'm still in Shiraz with my sister, Guru Maharaj.
You're with your sister. Okay, great. Haribo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Haribo, thank you.
Good. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Kṛṣṇa-bhaktir. Thank you so much. I love greatly when you said that our desire brings us to the Lord, and it's another dimension. And if we really want to serve the Lord, so He will, by His mercy, bring us to His feet. So it's this. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, it's all Govinda. Thank you for class.
Is Bṛhad gone?
No, she's getting ready for work, but she leaves on Saturday.
Okay, well, I'll see her here.
Yes, looking forward for hearing about it.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, she's not on my program, so she'll have to get away and visit me. I'm sure she will. Okay.
Yeah, well, she'll be there a little time for Kartik, so I think she was hoping to maybe come out, at some point during then too.
Okay. Okay. Good. Anybody else?
Very cool.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Śrī Nārada here. Thanks for the class.
Śrī Nārada, Haribo. So nice we can connect.
Yes.
Haribo. Anybody else?
Krishna Maharaj, is Gopinita. Thank you for class.
Buenas noche or buenos dias?
Buenos días.
For you, but not for me. It's buenos dias. Buenas tardes for me. Okay, Haribo.
Haribo.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, we can go. I see the list.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Haribo.
class.
Thank you. Nice to see you. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Vanchakalpa Tarubhyas Chakra Sindhu Bhaya Vichapati Tanam.